Clear, loud and clear.
Fantastic. God, I look like, I slept the whole day. I look. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm good.
Welcome, welcome. Do you know, okay, I'm using a different phone this time, so I need to, just give me a moment. Stay with me. Just give me a moment. I just need to get some information.
No problem.
Okay, okay, I am back. Normally, I use another phone, but then I switched. And then, can you do me a favor? Can you wind out your
Yeah.
thing? The special.
Yes. Yes.
I think it might be
That's how I'm talking to you.
affecting. I think it might be affecting. It's giving the echo thing. I don't know.
Okay. Let me try disconnecting and let's see.
Yes, let's see. How do you? How does that work? How do you connect it to
Come again?
how what do you connect it to? Do you connect it to your phone or?
Yes, to my phone.
Okay, we're not having that thing because I don't have that thing yet, but I'll be getting mine soon. So any moment now.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to
Yeah.
give people
So
just a
no,
few moments
okay, no echo right
before
now,
they.
right?
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect.
All right.
It works
All right.
well. We'll just give a few more minutes. You're my promptest guest.
Thank God.
Yes, so very really super prompt.
Thank
Um,
you.
one moment, I'll be back.
No problem. Hello, Peter the Rock. Shalom. So I guess I've said something, right? Shalom Aleichem. Malachi Shalom. Malachi Aleichem. Nice meeting you too, Peter.
Oh, people are already rolling. Oh, say something, sir. Peter D. Rock, welcome, welcome. How are you? You know what? We're gonna start. It's already 7:30, 6:36. For those you snooze, you look cool and calm as a gentleman. You have a hot fan here.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
Cool and calm like a gentleman. I like that. Okay, welcome everybody. The Free Conversations is a live conversation series hosted by my humble self. I was born from a deep desire for healing, connection, and truth. And each episode invites you into a raw, real conversation that explores life, art, purpose, pain, joy, resilience, and everything in between. Originally launched as a companion to my EP project, the Free Conversations has now evolved into an ongoing movement, a sacred place where powerful stories are shared, walls come down, and freedom begins. Now streaming on YouTube, this is our first episode. The Free Conversations prepares the way for my highly anticipated podcast, the Ruby Gyang podcast, offering audiences heartfelt moments of reflection, growth, and inspiration. We're here every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as I sit with incredible guests such as Rabbi Gerald Young, and explore the beauty and complexity of the human spirit, one conversation at a time. Gerald Young, welcome to the Free Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. You are just one of my favorite people to talk to. And we
Thank
had
you.
an incredible conversation on Instagram. The network was so annoying. I was just like, I will never be um, put in this situation by Instagram because it happened every single conversation. So I said, let's bring it here. And I'm happy that so far, so good. Before we get into our conversation, I'm going to introduce Gerald Young. He's a man that wears many hats. He's a physicist. An author. He's a teacher. He's a actor. He's a script writer. He's an animator. He is he is a. Did I mention a physicist? Did I say that? Or a
Yeah.
scientist, right? He's
Science is
just
all.
basically a guru of many things. But one thing that he is incredibly blessed with is the ability to work with people to heal soul wounds, trauma that happens in the mind, in the will, in your emotions, your intellect, your psyche. He has a conversation we're going to be leveraging on that special gift that he has. He has a passion to groom young men into becoming the kings that they were created to be. I'm very, very excited to have this conversation for many reasons, but also in recent the attention has been on women, which is a great thing, which was a very needed thing. However, I've found that the young men are being left behind to kind of figure out themselves. And the truth is, no one can figure out themselves. Mentorship is required, coaching is required. There needs to be people speaking, teaching, leading, guiding. And he has a special passion for young people, has that passion for you as well. So to this conversation right away. I don't to it. So Gerald, in our last conversation, you shared a powerful quote, and even after the conversation, I think I made you maybe repeat that quote like 5 times. So deep, and you said, "When a man cannot connect to the king in him, he returns to the kid he."
Yes.
Could you explain what this means to you and what inspired you to frame it this way?
Okay. So when you're there's a reason why okay, how can you define when a life is successful? If you take a
Mm,
look at a butterfly, it starts as an egg
mm,
before the caterpillar stage and the full butterfly. Then goes into the cocoon stage, then becomes a butterfly. You cannot say the but yeah. You cannot say the butterfly is fulfilled if the butterfly has not the quote is Peter, sorry. The quote is when a man has not connected, cannot connect to the king within, he goes back to the kid he has always been. Hello, John. So the thing is, between the cry with which we enter this world and the sigh with which we leave,
mhm.
there's a whole lot of growing that is required. There are phases of evolution that
Yeah.
everyone must go through. Now, when a man gets to that point of growth
Mm,
and he becomes confused because he's never seen anyone model this truth before him,
yeah.
he starts going back to the last comfortable place in his life.
Yes.
And this is where fatherhood is very interesting And this is where fatherhood is very essential because of that, you see men will come, you see men 40 years old, 50 years old, even 60, and they're still battling things. They're still fighting evolutionary patterns that they should have gone through a long time ago because they never saw other men or fathers go through those things.
Wow.
Yes,
Sorry, I don't know what I thought.
green screen.
I think I'm trying to. Oh, I didn't want to give me. Please go ahead. Don't let me distract you. I will
All
figure it
right.
out. I'm new to this, so.
So that's what happens. And so for many people, it's become for many men, even in today's world, it's become there are no mirrors or there are no role models. Nobody going before and after them, and they're just going round and round and round and round in circles. Let me use some scenario from the Bible to connect to try to tell the story well. If you look at the Bible, the disciples followed Jesus Christ. They wanted to do everything Jesus was, in fact, they were arguing who was going to sit in his right hand side and who's going to sit in his left hand side. And Jesus was going to build his kingdom on earth. They were so focused on all that. They were prepared for all these things until he went to the cross. The moment he went to the cross, until
Until
he
what?
went to the cross, the moment he went to the cross, it blew their minds. They didn't see that coming. They didn't know what to do. So from there, how do we go forward? And we live in it. Yeah. So if you want to, how am I going to put it? If you want to if you want to connect this thing, you would have to actually you want to connect this thing, you have to actually see why the enemy today is making is making men who hate leadership or men who are rebelling against leadership. Because he knows that if the man will never be properly mentored,
Mhm.
he will never go anywhere in his life. He will keep going back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So,
mentorship. If let me jump in. If
yes,
mentorship for men, I'm gonna liken it to having a midwife
kind of, yes.
necessary for you to
Yeah.
birth
Yes. And
midwife. Yeah,
yes.
you can king out of you.
Now,
I love that.
so if you, because you see, a true mentor will put you through the fires you need to become who you're meant to be to lead nations. If you
Mm.
don't have that true mentorship in your life, I always say this: if your mentor has never made you so uncomfortable that you wanted to run for your dear life, you're not being mentored yet.
Yeah.
Because what he's preparing you for is a realm you've never gone to before. He's preparing
Wow.
you for a place you've never been. Yes. Let us look how crazy it is. The Bible says in John chapter 21 that Peter said, I go a fishing.
Yeah, it's like I'm going back to what I always knew, who I was
Exactly.
before.
And all the other disciples say, we go with you. And he there begs in the question, what in the world was Matthew looking for on a boat? He was a tax
Mm.
collector.
Yeah.
Yes. But you see, the thing is this: because people are hurting,
Hmm.
because people are confused, they will do anything. Remember, Proverbs says that even the belly that is full will loathe honey,
That's
but to the
true.
hungry, even the bitter is sweet.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
most people go through, for many young men, they go through mentorship that celebrates that where the mentor tries to celebrate his strengths, but
Okay.
never communicates his pain.
Yes. Yes.
So when the person who's being mentored meets pain, he's confused. He doesn't know what to do.
Mm. Mm.
He doesn't know what to do. And you see, when a man becomes confused, this is where it gets interesting. When a man becomes confused, he locks himself up.
That's he isolates himself.
He isolates himself. He builds what they call a man cave,
Mm.
whether in his mind or even in the physical. He isolates himself. You see, this, if I can say this, women are more prone to process their feelings out loud.
Yeah.
Men are more prone to bury it within.
Yeah, this is, let me just
So,
jump in with a real life
yeah.
example. So
Yes.
there's this popular influencer, his name is Eniola. He goes for his friend's
Okay.
wedding, a female friend, and during the wedding, he sheds tears, and people just go in at him. Now this guy is in his mid 20s. He has the trappings of success in that he has his business, he owns his home. He's been doing a lot. He's a very prominent activist, always out fighting for causes, trying to help people. But he shed tears, and then men and women are now calling him a simp, basically. This new term, about just like he's so weak, why is he crying, blah blah blah. And it's like you just mentioned about women. We're prone, but we're also allowed. We have been Society has accepted that we can process our emotions outwardly, but for men, they are now being attacked for that problem. Please continue.
I'm telling you. So, because now, you see, this is why, like I said, mentorship is very important because men need to understand how to be safe and they
Yeah.
need to understand how to live secure.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of men have just been told, don't talk. If you talk, you're not a man. Be a man.
Wow.
So every time we cry, every time we express emotion, we say, be a man. And for some other people, they don't just, they carry this emotion and it goes overboard.
Okay.
Yes. And because nobody has taught them how to balance emotion with decision,
Yes.
they let the emotion just run wild.
Mm. Okay,
You
I
get my
want
point?
to, yeah, let me come back to the next question. I want to kind of structure the conversation in,
No problem.
yeah, the quote, I always go back to it: when a man cannot connect to the king within, he returns to the king he's always been. I want to talk about the concept of the king, right? When you speak of the king within, are you referring to leadership qualities like leadership, wisdom, something more? And let me put this. How would you describe what the king in a man represents? How do you define it?
Definition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't, let me not use that. You can't define by definition. Let me put it this way. Every man has a sphere of influence where he's meant to dominate. When
Okay.
God made man, he gave him the presence, he gave him the word, he gave him um he gave him the presence, he gave him the word, and he gave him the instruction. The
Presence,
work,
word,
sorry.
instruction. Okay, the work.
Presence, work, instruction. Yes.
Presence, word, instruction.
He gave him these three before he even gave him the woman.
Yes, yes. Can you
So,
give me short summaries of what the presence means, what the work means, what the instruction? Just bullet points
which means the
definition.
man can only know himself when he knows his God.
So that's presence.
That's presence.
Okay.
He
Work.
cannot define himself outside of the presence of God.
Okay.
Because when you can't define yourself out of what of the when your life you're trying to define your life outside of the divine, you will structure it to something that will boost your pride but eliminate your validity
Hmm.
in your generation.
Hmm. Okay.
You will find yourself hiding more. You will find
Hmm.
yourself pretending more, and you will not find
Hmm.
yourself. You would find yourself really. You find yourself more existing but not living.
Wow. So you can have
So
success, you can have money, you can have status, but you'll be empty inside.
yeah, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of like a man has a big car, an expensive car, and usually
Mm-hmm.
they will say he's compensating for not for something else.
Yes, yes.
When a man becomes too loud with that which he
Mm,
owns,
mm.
he's trying to shout down the echoes of an emptiness inside of him.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. When he becomes too loud with that which he owns, yeah, that's why you see. And most men will never look within because most people have never been taught to reflect.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
people have not been taught to look within.
yeah, that's true.
And because of that, when a man has lost the divinity, he will boast
Mm.
of his money, he will boast of his name, he will boast of his power, he will
Women,
boast of his achievements, but he will never ever look within. And you will never, when he talks to you, you don't see substance out of him. How do you say it?
mm.
There is no real humanity in there.
Okay. Let's move to work because we have a lot of questions to go.
Yes.
So work, you said
So
presence, work, and instruction. Work.
work is the, should I use the word, is the difference that you were born with to contribute to the earth.
I like that. So like your talents, your unique,
Exactly.
your unique perspective.
Your talents, your giftings, your drives.
Okay.
Because you see, no two people see the world the same way.
Very true.
And that means that you were born to express a dimension of the Father that has never existed on the earth before.
Yeah. I like that. You were born to express a dimension of the Father that has never existed before.
Yes,
I
that has
like
never
that.
existed on the earth. You need to understand God is eternal.
Yeah.
So, if God is eternal, every one of us was created to reflect Him, His nature,
Mm,
a part of His nature, unto
yeah.
eternity forever.
So
So
each
you show
person
for
is
the
wow, 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 wow.
so each one of us is actually showing forth a part of God that nobody else has seen before. That's why no two artists paint the same way.
That's true. Okay. I like
No,
that's a whole conversation. Let's move to instruction.
simple. I think it was C.S. Lewis who wrote that when the ship gets on the water, it must ask three questions. Number one,
Mhm,
how does it get to its destination? Number two,
mhm,
how does it keep from bumping into other ship? Number
mm.
three, why are you on the sea in the first place?
Okay.
The instruction is the guide to maintain your originality.
Okay.
So every man is born. There are general principles and there are personal principles.
Mm-hmm.
As you continue to walk with God, He's going to give you definitions that you don't even know exist.
Mm.
Like nobody else is going to see it that way. But when He gives you those definitions, they unfold themselves in obedience.
Mm.
Yeah, they unfold themselves in obedience. And so I have seen, okay, let me put for example, for Adam,
Mm-hmm.
it was, no, you do this, but never you touch that fruit.
Mm.
Don't even go close to the tree.
Mm.
Why? Because the guidelines, the instruction, the
Mm-hmm.
principles that surround you, the
Mm-hmm.
protocol allows you to remain in your environment and prosper in it. Can I go a little deeper?
Okay.
The law of protocol allows you to enter into an environment and
Mm-hmm.
prosper because it communicates the difference and celebrates, or it communicates the importance and celebrates the difference of the environment. You may have the talent, but if you don't understand the protocol of an era or protocol of a generation or protocol of a season, you will actually not excel in that season.
True.
Esther soaked herself in oil for 12 months before the king would consider her compatible for his bed.
Yeah.
Daniel studied conversation for 3 years before the king would even eat a meal with him.
Yeah.
The Egyptians hated birds. Birds. So the moment Joseph came out of prison, the first thing he did was to shave to create acceptance.
Yeah.
Wherever God will place you in life, there's a code of conduct and a set of rules that will allow you to function well in that place and excel in it. You violate
Okay.
that, you find out your originality becomes buried.
Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. I want to talk about the B part of the conversation, which is returning to the kid he's always been when a man cannot connect, right? So what
Yes.
is the kid mentality? How does this childlike behavior manifest? Okay, let me start. It's a three-part question. So I'm going to start with um what is this kid mentality? And then after you answer that, how does the childlike behavior manifest in an adult male's life?
The kid mentality is the unformed part, or should I say, is the unformed mind of a man.
Hmm.
It's the man without purpose. It's the man without defined difference. So the kid in the man is the helpless version of the man.
Hmm.
It's the part of the man that seeks gratification and comfort over definition.
Ooh. Can you just expand on that a bit?
Give me a child. And I think this will help me even answer the B part. Pick a child. If the child is hungry, he cries until he eats.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to sleep, he goes to sleep. He doesn't want to sleep, it's a war getting him or her to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And a child lives for instant gratification.
That's
A
true.
child has no concept of the future.
Yeah.
So a child has no understanding of long-term investments. A child have no understanding of the long run, of the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When a man, one of the signs that a man is still connecting to the child with him is one, he becomes too emotional. He responds emotionally rather than practically.
Okay.
Yes. For example, when you have a man who makes emotional decisions all the time, who every time he wants to respond to something, it's always from an emotional point. He never studies the big picture.
Mm.
So as he never sees the big picture, everything is just how he feels at the moment. He
Mm.
goes from what should be to how he feels. He never goes
Okay.
from how he feels to what should be happening in his life.
Mm.
Yeah. He never goes from to what should be happening in his life. Such a man becomes too receptive to sensualities,
What do you mean by sensualities?
which means the moment he feels like having sex, he goes for it and doesn't stop until he has it. The
Yeah.
moment he feels like eating, he goes for it without knowing, without stopping. He goes
Mm.
for things that try to he goes for things that spell comfort, not things that
Mm.
spell purpose. If you say
Mm.
purpose to such a person, they look at you like you're an idiot, like you don't know what you're saying. But
So
if,
they avoid delayed gratification.
oh, they hate it, they don't even believe in it, they believe it's torture.
Mm.
So whatever they
Mm.
want, and you see, these people have no definition. They look the part, but they never live the
Mm.
part. And that's
Wow.
why, yeah, like I said, these men are locked up in their own caves. They
Yes.
haven't evolved. They're just like
Yes.
children. You know how children, when children
Yes.
become confused or something, they go and isolate themselves in one part of the room. And eventually, what do you find? They start bringing all their toys to that room.
Yeah.
And yeah, and how am I going to put it? And if you leave that if you leave that person, they can
Mm.
stay to that cave long enough, and psychologically, they don't know the way out anymore.
Mm.
So they keep hiding themselves with their toys
Mm.
and will never leave the comfort of that space no matter what you do. And that's why you see a man, he's Dick and John in the morning, but in the night, he's Big Daddy J looking for little girls and little boys on the internet.
Okay. I was, wow, it's true because they never grew past childhood. So the people they are attracted to are children.
Exactly. For example,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that may sound a bit controversial. Every pedophile that has been arrested, most pedophiles that have had encounters of questioning, I found that there's one thing common with all of them.
What's that?
They never grew up.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
never, nobody ever mentored them to be men. Nobody
Hmm.
ever taught them how men behave. Nobody ever taught them how to speak like men, to walk
Hmm.
like men, to behave like men.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So you can claim you're a man, and you can go and you see people in the gym getting all the muscles and all those things, and they're trying to show off that big body and that muscular body because they think it's the definition. But
Oh
that's not what
yes,
makes a man.
external things.
Exactly. And this is where I bring this illustration. If you look at the
Mm-hmm.
caterpillar looks like a complete animal on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It takes
That's true.
eyes of purpose.
That's true.
Yeah. It takes eyes of purpose to realize that the caterpillar is an incomplete butterfly.
That's true. Because actually, when you look at it with yeah, you just stick the wings and little antennas and just okay, you be
Yeah.
beautified. But yeah, truly, truly.
If you put a caterpillar, it looks almost as big, even though even in some cases even bigger than the butterfly itself.
Yeah, yeah.
More legs.
Mm-hmm.
You find more ants moving to the caterpillar.
Yeah.
You don't find ants around the butterfly anymore. Really.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
butterfly has a different purpose in life.
Yeah.
And it takes, yeah, and it takes a person with understanding to see that though the caterpillar might look complete, it is only an incomplete face of the butterfly. And do you know why
Wow.
this is dangerous?
Why?
We have a lot of caterpillar masquerading as butterflies,
Woo!
showing themselves as men. And so what you're doing is
Woo!
giving us many legs. But do
Wow.
you know what makes the caterpillar different from the butterfly?
What? You can't fly.
The, Not just if it can't fly, it can't reproduce.
Ah, it's a biology lesson going on right now. Wow.
It can't reproduce. The
Wow.
caterpillar does not have the mechanism for reproduction. One of the
Ew.
ways you know you're a man is when you can reproduce life in somebody else.
And not
And I'm not
just when
talking
you say
about
life, not babies.
not babies. No offense. Anybody with enough vitality in his nether regions can make a baby.
Mhm.
It takes a
Yeah.
real man to make a son or a daughter.
Mm.
It takes a real
You know,
man to become a
wow.
father.
Yes. You
Anybody
know,
can be a
man.
daddy.
Yeah, you can be a biological donor. You know, I
Doesn't
want to talk,
mean.
yeah, that
Yeah,
you
go
can
ahead.
reproduce life. You can. I want to talk about culture, because we're cultural people living in a cultural space, and I want to talk about cultural socialization. So, in many cultures, boys are taught certain roles and behaviors from a very young age. How do you think
Yes.
these early cultural lessons contribute to men remaining in a prolonged kid state emotionally and spiritually?
If I may come into this place with my experience with so many different cultures, I don't think there's any culture that actually celebrates a man being a child,
Okay.
except one,
Which one?
the American culture.
Break it down, break
And
it
when I
down,
mean
break
the
it down.
and when I mean the American culture, I'm not talking about America, like United States. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the culture, that modern westernization that has
Got it.
crept in, that
Hmm.
is trying to redefine who a man should be.
Okay.
And right now, men are learning to be men from Netflix.
Hmm.
You're learning to be men from Amazon Prime and from TV and from YouTube. And what you're learning is okay as long as you have muscles, as long as you look the part, as long as you act tough, you're a man. That's not what a man
Hmm.
is.
Okay.
A man is defined by his ability to give identity.
Mm-hmm.
And how can you give identity if you don't have one yourself?
Yeah.
So you have a man who does not know how to respond and bench press like a man.
Hmm.
He becomes too sensitive like a woman. No offense. A woman responds more on an emotional level.
Hmm.
A man responds more on an analytical level. That's why they work hand in hand. So the woman will
Hmm.
present the emotional side of the conversation, and the man processes the analytical side of the conversation.
Well, generally, yes, I agree. As a general statement.
Yeah, no. So you can, for example, how many times do you see this scenario where a woman is talking about something? Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this to happen, and she's talking, and the man just looks and he says nothing, and
Yeah.
it looks like he's not interested in the conversation, but he's listening. And he comes
Hmm.
back to her and maybe about a few days or weeks, and he says, I've been thinking about what you said,
Hmm.
because he processes it within him, and the woman
Yeah.
processes it without.
Yeah.
And so most culture, that's why every culture has what they call a rite of passage.
Okay.
Something that lets the kid understand that he's no longer a child from this moment. At this moment,
Hmm.
he's not just receiving identity, he's now walking towards giving identity to somebody else.
Yeah.
He now has to build himself. He now has to go, should I say, he now has to go into training to give identity to somebody else.
Hmm.
And so you have a generation of people who who are without honor, who are dishonorable. And so their mentors are wounded by them.
Hmm.
They go and they curse out and they rebel against their mentors, and they wonder why they're not going forward in life.
Hmm.
They wondered why they wonder because they try to cut the process. And when you cut
Yeah.
the process, how am I going to put it? You start regressing because there's no solid point in your life.
Yeah.
I deal with people who are supposed to like go far in life, and because they rebel against the process, oh, it's too hard. Oh, that's not the way it is, and they're seeking comfort and comfort and comfort all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
saying, So I tell my people all the time. I say, look, if you want to listen, look at me. The idea of mentorship is that you learn from my pain, so that you don't live it.
Yes. Yes.
So you learn, and that's what fathers are meant to replay. Fathers are meant to show to their children, not the
Hmm.
effect of their pain, but the lessons from their pain to the
Yes.
children.
You mentioned earlier about how right now what happens is with a lot of mentorship in quotes, there's hiding the
Yes.
pain, not talking about what
Yeah.
and so now that now leads to keeping these children, these men in a prolonged
Mm.
state, in a prolonged child state, emotionally and spiritually. I
Exactly.
think also if we look at it in terms of religious spaces, you would see
Mm.
that there are also people that intentionally keep men in a childlike state so that they can exert control because they have a twisted idea of what
And that is how
control.
you
Can you
know.
talk a little
That is how
about
you
that?
know someone.
Mm.
Yeah. That's why you know somebody who actually never grew up. A person
Mm.
who never grew up will never empower another. They seek to use whatever they have to control people.
Wow.
Now, here's the difference. People who have never attained, who have never come into the king level of their lives, when
Mm-hmm.
they deal with others, when they deal with people other than them, they're not trying to teach them the lessons to stand on their own. No,
Yes.
they make it
Yes.
look like they move towards being controlling.
Mm-hmm.
They don't let them make decisions. They don't, how am I going to put it? When I deal with my people, I tell them, look, mistakes is part of the process.
Yes.
And I say, when you see me fall, look at the way when you see me make mistakes, look at the lessons I pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Take your lessons. It might mean I'm going to rebuke you about something. You're not going to understand why I rebuked you, but I want you
Mm-hmm.
to use. So the sensible thing for you is to stay and
Yes.
learn what I'm trying to teach you in that moment. Most times,
Mm-hmm.
of course, they will gaslight you, turn around, and make it look like you're trying to kill them. And that's people who never come into that stage. And you will see those kind of
Mm.
people, you will find out that even when they make friends, they're trying to control their friends. Or when they
Wow.
make friends, yeah, that's one part of it. They're trying to control and control and control everything. They want to control their relationships. They want to call the shots on every point. The people cannot live their lives. And you see these kind of people when they meet, yeah, when these people meet their mentors, they want to make their mentors their friends. Your mentor
Yeah.
isn't your friend, he's your
Yeah.
teacher.
Hmm.
Your friends celebrate your strengths. Your mentor wants to enhance them. Your friends
Mm.
tolerate your weaknesses. Your mentor is interested in eliminating them.
Wow. And that's painful. That comes with some
It's
pain.
painful.
It comes with
But do
pain.
you not think
But
it's much painful for the one who decides to commit himself to teach you?
yeah, there's that too. That's not considered. That's not considered. I want to.
No, they never.
You've spoken quite a bit about culture and how we equate manhood with things like dominance, stoicism, emotional detachment, right? How
Yes.
can we begin to challenge these outdated myths?
I think it's just to start telling ourselves the truth. Because
Okay.
when you go back into the deep things, should I say, into the roots of these cultures, you will find
Mm.
out they never forbade men to cry.
Yeah. Really?
Most time, most cultures will just say don't cry in front of women
Mm. So they permit men to cry within their space.
within their cycles.
What's wrong with crying in front of women?
Well, it's something as old as a tale as old as time. Because they believe the woman is emotional and a woman would look up to her husband for leadership.
Mm.
The children will look up to the father. So the father has to keep a strong front.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, this has been embedded without the understanding of advancement with men. So men just know that I'm not supposed to cry, I'm not supposed to complain. But he doesn't
Yeah.
know how to release the stress, the weight, the burdens on him, how to get into that cycle. And that's what, if you notice, women have more bands and groups than men do.
Yeah, we have community.
Good. But men don't have that because the
Mm.
enemy knows. You take a man, you've taken identity out. And that's why
Mm.
the plan, if you look through the scriptures, the plan of the devil is always to kill the men, but
Mm.
cage the women.
Hmm. I want to come back to because you talk a lot about women being emotional, men being analytical. It seems very black and white, even though I don't think that is what it is. I think it's more nuanced.
There's always
But
a gray area in the story.
yeah, exactly. So, isn't it important for even wives, for children, for parents to see their fathers emote that way, so that they know that it's okay, especially the boys. It's okay, and even for the girls to see a man that is not that is not one dimensional but multi-dimensional, in that yes, I'm this person that is strong, I'm this person that is a rock, but at the same time I have my down times, and it's okay, and I need support. I need.
Do you want me to answer that question very honestly?
Please do.
Most women don't know how to handle that.
True. And you know why? Because they've been brainwashed to believe that men should not emote. So now we're trying to we're trying to provide solutions. We're trying to challenge these outdated myths. So can you speak to that, so that for women that are listening, whether it's women parents, women wives, women girlfriends, women sisters, women friends,
Yeah.
how can they help? How can they provide a safe environment for men to feel like they can emote?
Being his rock. Be
Okay,
his
what does that
rock.
mean?
A man will always be free where he has his respect.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you define respect? Because a lot of people, when they hear respect, they think of dominance, that twisted idea of submission. But if it's people that are religious, do you understand? And how that has been abused. So what does please, in the most simplest definition, what do you define respect as?
Simple. See him as the leader
Okay.
and give him his honor as the leader.
Mm.
So when he stumbles before you,
Yeah.
help him get back on his feet.
Mm.
Nobody will sing the praise of a man more than his woman.
Yeah. That's true.
When a woman is not, you see, I always say the first prophet to every man is his wife.
Hey,
What?
God.
Yeah. You see, God gave man the word, gave man work, sorry, gave him the presence, gave him the instruction, and then looked at
Mm.
this man who has been given all this and said, it is not good that this man be alone. I
Yeah.
will make a helpmeet.
Mm-hmm.
So why is there a helpmeet? So that everything the man builds, the woman incubates.
Hmm.
The man has life for initiation. The woman carries life for incubation.
Okay.
So which means everything that the man is, the woman takes and she begins to build and cause to multiply.
Mm.
So if I tell you, when I see most men struggling, I ask their wives questions.
Hmm.
And most times when I speak to the wife, I'm being honest with you. When I speak to the wives, they have complaints about the man.
Yeah.
And I tell them, did you not hear it? Proverbs 14, verse 1. Homes are built by the wisdom of women.
Hmm.
Homes are built not by the wisdom of the man, by the wisdom of women. I
Hmm.
say you have a choice. You can keep speaking what you want to see or keep speaking what you're seeing.
Hmm. Okay.
Either way, you're going to have what you say. The woman is his first prophet. She's the one who will help sing his praise.
Oh, you
Trust
said
me.
first prophet. I thought I heard false prophets. I was just like, what?
First prophet. But
FIRST. I like that. That's a very, very
first.
powerful role. It's a
Yeah.
very powerful
Rishon,
role.
number one. Yes. Yeah. So the woman is his first prophet. And most women do not understand or do not see that. And like I
Wow.
said, some men, when they are not even mature enough, they can't make great husbands because
Yeah,
they're
they
trying to
can.
compete with the woman instead of leading the woman.
Wow. Yeah, and if he's not been mentored and the king in him is not actualized, he really can't lead
He can't.
because kings lead. Wow.
He can't. He's going to keep struggling. A man who has negativity coming from the women in his life
Yeah,
will
whether
struggle.
mother or that's true.
Yes,
That's very
will
true.
struggle a lot. And that's why, you see, because a man has been told he cannot talk and there's no community to help most men.
Yes.
Have you not noticed something? That when you go for family reunions, there are
Mm.
more auntie, great aunt, mama this, mama that, mama this. You don't find a
Mm-hmm.
lot of uncle this or daddy this or papa this.
Hmm.
It's a standard
Hmm.
thing that men die before women. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Because all his life,
Mm.
he has been deceived to live life alone.
Kai.
And it is not good for a man to be alone. Men
Mm.
don't do alone well.
Yeah,
You
that's true.
leave a man alone, he self destructs.
True. True.
So God has brought women into his, brings a woman particularly,
Mm.
before somebody say I'm supporting polygamy. Now, God brings a woman into his life
Yeah.
to be his prophet, to speak to him.
Wow. Define prophet,
Man,
if you don't mind me. If I define prophet, let me take you back.
now the Hebrew word for prophet is nabi, which means one who speaks with one who possesses God's senses. So what mean if be
Oh,
his prophet? Yes, the prophet in this case means she speaks God's word to him. She speaks words of life to him.
yes.
She speaks
Yeah,
words
I
of
like
life to
that.
him. And if she is speaking into his life, you will naturally will see that that man will achieve more. That man, how am I going to put it? Will achieve more, would step
Mm.
out more. Why?
Mm.
Because she's steering something that most people do not understand is a major part of men.
Which is,
Ego.
I thought ego is not a good thing.
When it's perverted, it's not a good thing.
Okay. Define ego,
But every,
please.
Consciousness of self.
Consciousness of self. Okay. Okay. Hmm.
A man has a stronger, or should I use the word? He draws a lot of his ego from external, from those he
Obviously.
loves, those he cares
Yeah.
about. He draws a
Yeah.
lot from it. A
That's
fatherly
true.
approval. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody's saying, yes, he's the priest of the home. Yes, that's true. Somebody say, isn't he the priest of the home? I say, yes, he is the priest of the home. Yes.
No comment.
Hmm. But even the
Okay.
priest needs his prophet.
Wow. I love that.
Yes. When you
Wow.
check Israel all through the scripture, you will find that Israel had two major leaders.
Wow.
Whenever the king was missing, you had the prophet and the
Mm.
priest.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
Say that again about prophet and priest. Go ahead.
No, every time there was a kingdom structure, apart from the king, you always have the prophet and the priest. So the priest deals with identity, the prophet deals with enforcement.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So the priest is the one who brings and communicates identity. The prophet
Mm.
enforces it to the generation.
Wow. Which makes sense if you think of a mom and how her constant speaking in her children's life, and
Exactly.
that's really,
Why do
this
you
is a
think
whole
people remember
separate
their mother?
conversation.
Yeah.
So deep. So
so,
deep. So
so
deep.
I'm telling you, yes.
Wow.
So
Wow.
how a man sees himself is connected to a lot of people. I've known men that have spent their entire life being abused by their mothers.
I know such a one right now, and it's affecting marriage.
Exactly. Such men will never, they will avoid marriage. They'll rather just pay for prostitutes. They'll do a lot of things. And most times, and most times, they will switch to the other side.
Or become gay or lesbian or something. Why is that?
A lack of identity.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
most times the man brings the identity, but most times it is the woman who will enforce it. So if the woman is communicating communicating emotion or situations to the man rather than to the children, rather than actually communicating truth and enforcing the identity of the
Mm.
Lord in the home that has been established by the Father. And that's why you see in America, around the world, 21st century, in America, they have discovered a way to make sure, for example, that the African American community never becomes anything.
By breaking up the home.
They just need to throw the father in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why the law.
Wow.
How am I going to? A Caucasian American, yeah,
Yeah.
a Caucasian American commits a crime that should give him 5 years imprisonment. If a
Mm.
black man would do, if an African American would do the same thing,
Can
you
go
will.
for life.
You get my? You say?
They could possibly send him away for life.
Yeah. Now, because the reason is because if you take the father out of the home, there's nobody giving identity.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
identity is there to enforce?
The one. Wow.
Remember, it's always to kill the man and trap the
Mm.
woman.
Okay, there's a question here. He said, I know one who was abused by his father. He's currently depressed. How does such a person heal? Woo!
I want context. What kind of abuse are you talking about?
Nanya EJ, is it like a sexual abuse or is it like physical, like, violence, physical abuse? Or please, can you clarify? When you clarify, we'll come back to it. Gerald, let me quickly do something, right? Because a lot
All
of
right.
what you're saying is foreign to, you say we're cultural here, but culture doesn't necessarily go with let me say kingdom,
Mm.
right? Kingdom culture. So
I understand.
so there's often a tension between what culture expects of a man and what his inner king is calling him to be. How does a man navigate the dissonance between an external validation and the internal transformation? Let me basically just put it that way. How does he, there's man-made culture and there's kingdom culture, and is pulling
Yeah.
him. Okay. before. Okay, Naya, let him answer this, then we'll come to it. She says that he was physically abused by his dad. Like, these fathers are
Fine.
beat, physically violent to their children. So, let's answer that tension. How do we connect the two? How can a man navigate the dissonance?
Now, let me put it this way. And if it's possible, I would love to speak with this man that you're talking about one on one, because one of the ways to help heal this person is to begin to counter those words. That's why, you see, you don't find spiritual mothers much in the Bible,
Hmm.
but you find a lot of spiritual fathers. Do you know why?
Why?
Because identity is that important that God gives two opportunities for it.
He gives two. Oh, okay. So if the father fails, then the mother will kind of step in, type thing.
Not just that. If the father fails, God brings a spiritual father, something like a mentor, to come
Oh,
in and
got you.
speak
Got
life.
you. Got you.
Because I told you, the
Peter,
woman
your
enforces the
advice is too
identity.
bad. Peter the Rock said, Naya, let them settle it man to man. Are you okay? Please. Thanks so much.
No, everybody
Before
knows. Please, please, this is not Kratos and Zeus.
what's happening here? Please, would you, Gerald, would you, because I really want to answer this question, but would you maybe do you have an email that you could type in the comments that Nanya could send, or Abby, or is it a number,
All right.
whatever you prefer, depending. Nanya, Mr. Gerald is going to.
How do I comment on this? Or do we have somebody? Do you have a moderator who can help us with this?
Let me just hold on. I didn't add one. Let me see. Chat.
Okay. I can just
Hmm.
call the number out so the
Please
person
do,
just
please
send
do.
me so the
A
person
WhatsApp message.
yeah, so the person will send me a message, a WhatsApp message,
Yeah, Peter, I agree
and
with what you're saying. Okay, please go ahead and give the number out, please.
all right. So it's plus 234 81 1985 0323.
Again, please.
Plus 234
Yeah,
81
yeah.
1985
Mm-hmm.
0323.
Plus 234 81
Yeah.
1985 zero three two
Yes.
three. All right.
Yes. Please,
I
WhatsApp
typed it.
only. WhatsApp message before anything. Just send a WhatsApp message.
Yeah,
And
instructed
it
that he heard him on. No problem.
and you see that's why it's that important. Peter the Rock just said something about bloodline crisis, and that is very true. Abused men end up become abusers themselves.
Mm,
Yeah, abused men end up becoming abusers themselves.
yeah,
Hurt people hurt others.
that's true. That is very, very true.
And yeah, and most times when you now check that, do you know why? Can I share with you one of the reasons why this bloodline continues?
Why?
Because one part never broke the cycle by forgiveness.
Wow.
Forgiveness is one of the most powerful things. That's why it's one of the hardest thing also to do.
That's true.
Because every time you say you want to forgive someone, all of a sudden you're flooded with the memory of everything wrong they have done to you.
Wow.
And if you don't heal from that, if you don't deal with those things, by
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness, you give yourself a chance to rise.
Yeah.
Now, when you don't come out of this, you
Mm-hmm.
will find out that you will just end up wounding other people in your life.
That's true.
Yes.
That's very, very true. Okay, we have just I think maybe 5 to 7 minutes. So I want to go to um I think you've answered. I want to go to like solutions right now, right? Like
Yes.
healing. So for men who've been shaped by limiting cultural narratives and even religious narratives. Okay, let me ask about religious narratives and then we'll go to that, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about how do religious teachings and practices shape the way men approach maturity? Are there? what are certain religious, I don't want to say religious culture, but do you understand? Some religious beliefs that have caused men to stay in this state and not transition into kingship.
Yeah. You know, one of the worst things about religion is that religion is man trying to define God
Okay, okay,
in
okay.
this context. And when man is always trying to define God, he feels woefully.
That's true.
So what does he do? He tries to make a beeline. He tries to make a set of principles that would draw men closer to God. And in that sense, he doesn't do it well.
Wow, wow, wow.
Can I ask a question, Rubes? How
Go
many
ahead.
senses do you have?
How many
Senses do you have?
sesses?
Senses, yes. How many do you have?
The five now. Peter is asking about the BYO Foundation. Is that your handle name?
On we don't the Bio Foundation doesn't have a hand. We only have a Facebook page, but we don't do much. But if you want to know, if you want to know more about us, our YouTube page is youtube.com/CFAYTV. youtube.com/CFAYTV. The Bio Foundation is the organization.
Can I
Sorry, please.
I'm thinking of posting the we have the senses, so sight, smell, taste, touch, and what did I miss?
I'm
Sight, sound, hearing.
Yeah, I'm having a feeling that this Peter the Rock has listened to me before.
Okay.
Well, either that or he's very close to the truth because, yeah, you mentioned those ones and you are correct, Rubes. One third.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to. Is
Yeah,
it okay if I want to paste your number in the chat? That's fine, right?
no problem. No problem.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, we actually have 15.
Wow. Okay, hit me.
Well, I may not share all of them here.
Just list beyond the
Yeah.
five that everybody knows.
If you're talking about five senses, if you're talking about the senses,
Yes.
you only know of the five senses of the physical realm. But there are
Okay.
five senses of the soul and the five senses of the spirit.
Okay. So
Will
15.
is a sense,
Okay. True.
imagination is a sense,
Mm-hmm.
amongst many others.
Wow.
Why am I saying that? If you want to develop a man only on the five senses, you
Mm-hmm.
create a sensual being without self discipline.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
The most powerful sense, the most powerful, when you do that on a soul level, he also needs his will, his imagination, his sensuality, all this to be trained to maturity.
Yes.
Or else, the moment something new comes up, he becomes confused and doesn't know what to do.
That's true.
Yes. So, most religion fail at this.
Hmm.
Most religion teach that you are not in charge until you are dominating brutally somebody else.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Only
Yeah.
when we come to the Bible do we actually see the balance being taught, the balance being brought.
Okay. Okay.
That okay, that you deal with the will of a man, you deal with you deal with the strength of his spirit. The Bible
Yes.
in Proverbs says the will of a man will save him even at the point of death, but a broken spirit who can fix?
Who can fix?
You hear of the senses of the eye. You hear of this eye, spiritual sight and physical sight. They're not the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
That's true.
So now, like I said, the Bible becomes clear that if you go through the scriptures In fact, I have a book coming up very soon. I should have released the book since last month, but I
Okay.
had a little delay. Yes. It's called Walking Tall, dealing with those
Wow.
things that they told you to avoid.
Wow.
Yes. But, and amongst that, and with all these things we're doing right now, people need to understand that there has to be a balance on all 15. If a
Wow.
man is supposed to, and now I didn't say you have to be excellent. I said there has to be a balance on all 15.
Yeah, you
If a
can't.
man
Yeah,
is
you have
supposed
to
to
have
go forward,
the body, the soul, the spirit. Yeah, there needs to be a
there
yes.
has to be, they have to be in concert. There have to be a balance between all three. If
Okay.
one is not attended to, eventually the disease will spread to the other two.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. In your experience, what do you see among the three generally within what aspect do you see the most prominent
As
of
in, as problematic.
the senses? Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, 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 not as problematic, but in just in people.
I think the soul is where nobody goes to.
Hmm. Okay.
I've seen a lot of great men fail the next generation
Wow.
because they never dealt with their soul. Yes,
Okay. When you say they didn't deal with their soul, maybe we should talk a little bit more about that aspect because I've heard you say something. You said a lot of people, a lot of faith people have strong spirits but weak souls, right? Can
exactly.
we let's just talk a little bit about that?
When I train people, when I mentor people, one of the first things I try to do is break their mind to ground zero and help them rebuild it again. Because everyone who's coming to you already has a limitation that has been programmed into their subconscious.
Yeah.
That limitation will create fear. That fear will
Mm.
create hatred. That hatred
Mm-hmm.
will breed suffering.
Hmm.
So every time I have to deal with them, I have to deal with their minds. With the
Mm.
mind, of course, the mind is the entrance to the soul.
Yeah.
And the mind is on so many levels.
Yeah.
There's the conscious, there's the subconscious, there is the unconscious. The
Mm.
unconscious will take you to the dimensions of his heart.
Yes.
And like I said, now, if a man has not faced the quality, faced himself to build the
Mm-hmm.
quality of his soul on these levels, you
Mm-hmm.
will find out he will have spiritual prowess. May know how to pray. He may know how to prophesy. His spiritual senses, he will be on fire for God. But when he comes down to relate to people, when he comes down to see life, he will always see life through a veil and will never get the full picture.
Wow, 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 wow. That's heavy. Peter the Rock, he
Mm.
said this is the first time he's actually seeing and listening to you. And he says most of his words are pregnant. It can't be unraveled in in a session. That's why
Actually.
Peter, get that number, hit him up, right? And get connected because this is conversations will never end.
And who
Okay.
knows? Maybe if we're blessed, Rubes may bring us back again.
But I even think that even for you, anyway, we'll gist this offline. You know, we always have our gist. Okay, I want you to let's go for advice to the audience. We have to wrap up, right? For listeners who feel disconnected from, when I say listeners, I mean males who feel, okay, I want to talk to three people, sets of people. So for the men who are listening and they feel disconnected from the king within, right? What would be the
Yes.
first step you recommend that they take towards reconnecting with the king within?
Face your memories.
Okay.
Your memories are telling you something. They are
Hmm.
telling you the things you have avoided.
Hmm.
Memories are very loud. Face your memories. Your conscience has no voice without memories. If you suppress your memories well enough, they will go down, they'll go quiet. But in the stillness, that's why a lot of people don't like quiet places. They
Being
don't like
alone.
reflection. They
Yes,
like
yes.
noise.
Yeah,
Because the moment there's stillness, the memories start coming. Face your memories. They're telling you a story you don't want to hear.
that's true. Very true.
And when you face that thing, whether it is failure, whether it is hurt, whether it is guilt, whether it is fear, whatever it is, when those failures come, take it to the cross and understand what God has done for you in Jesus Christ. Surrender it, cast all your cares upon Him because He cares for you. Now receive grace. Now, usually when you're ready, I always say this, feel the pain of the season. Let it pass through
Mm,
you. I assure you,
mm,
the pain will leave you when it has stopped teaching you.
wow.
It will leave you when it's
Okay.
done teaching you.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Wow. That's heavy. Um, the second demographic of people that I want to talk to are mothers who I want you talked about the prophet and how the prophet reinforces identity. Am I saying that
yeah.
right? Please,
Yes, a
can
prophet
you can you
enforces
give that
identity.
definition of the word? Is it Nabi? What did
Nabi,
I get
yes,
that? Nabi? Yes. Can
yes,
you define
Nabi.
what's that?
One who
Say
has
what?
one who has God senses.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So,
Yes.
Peter is just feeling you. Peter, make sure you reach out to him. This is not. This is the tip of the topmost tip of the iceberg when it comes to this gentleman. So hit him up. Get that number. Okay. Don't play. Um.
Thank you.
So mothers. Let's start with mothers, right?
Yeah.
How can they help to reinforce this for their sons?
They can start just by speaking to them.
Okay. Give me examples of what they can say.
Oh, simple. Take the words of the scriptures, for example. Is one thing I always encourage mothers. Pick Deuteronomy 28, the blessings part. You're blessed in your going out, you're blessed in your coming in. I bless you from my womb. I bless you with the blessings. Yeah,
Mm,
it's crazy. I would say, I bless you with the blessings of the womb. I bless you with the blessing of the breast. I nourished you as you came into this world. So by that, I prophesy to every part of your being. You're blessed in your going out. You're blessed in your coming in. You're blessed in your down sitting. You're blessed in your uprising. You're blessed physically, spiritually, psychologically, materially, physiologically, socially, economically, financially, all round. Your life is coming to divine alignment with the Word of God, and you are excelling on all sides of your life. God is expanding you, and you have no. I speak to you. You have no weaknesses. You are full of purpose. You're full of definition. You have no losses in your life, and you just begin to speak. You will find out those words they have a strong, people underestimate the power of women in bringing up the next generation. People underestimate the
please,
power of women in bringing up
you're
this next generation,
estimating what?
in bringing up the next generation.
You broke again, please, one more time.
People underestimate the power of women in bringing up the next generation.
Oh, expand on that, please. This is stuff I love to hear.
There is the fatherly blessing to instill identity. The motherly blessing enforces that identity. And when she begins to speak, one of my favorite songs is a song from a man called Randy Travis. Yes, you can look it up. It's called When Mama Prayed. You get my point? Can you hear me?
You broke it again.
Come again? I couldn't hear you. I lost you for a moment there.
Yeah, I couldn't. We lost each other. I heard you last when you mentioned Randy Travis.
Yes. It's called When He has a song called When Mama Prayed.
Sorry. Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
here.
you and me. Okay, what's Randy Travis song? What is it called? I want to see if I can.
All right. When Mama Prayed. When Mama prayed, I don't know how to.
Yeah. Okay, Peter, can you type out the name of the artist and the song Trap right Trap When Mama Prayed. I've seen it.
Yes, yes,
Okay, thank you, Joshua. I think it's just my network.
yeah,
Okay, let me get the lyrics. I'm gonna okay. So you were last saying that people underestimate the about mothers.
yes. Because when a mother speaks over her children, she is enforcing and activating that which is, should I say, she's nurturing every seed of identity that's been established by the father.
Wow.
Yes, and you will begin to see that that child. It's why when a mother speaks, most children have a tendency to remember their mother more than their fathers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because the mothers speak, we remember. Haven't you noticed that we remember some more when what our mothers say to us than what our fathers? Yeah, we remember our fathers, but there's always a strong emotional attachment to what Mama said.
Very true.
Yeah. My mother used to say that brat and cheese are the best of friends. Mama te quiero y más
Okay.
ochizos amigosos. It's a Spanish reference. I'm just saying. Most people remember. My mama used to say, my mama didn't raise no fool.
Yeah.
We
Mama
say
didn't
that
raise no for you. Even when we even think about your mama jokes and how people take it, people don't
yeah,
even insult your mama. Hey God, you can insult my papa, it's fine. Well, fine ish, but my mommy, hey, you are not okay.
can I share
I have
with you? So, yeah,
okay,
can I say something, please? Before,
1 minute.
do you know how you?
Okay.
No problem. Do you know how you know you've got a great mother?
How?
Emotional balance.
Hmm. Okay.
Your mother will contribute more to your emotional balance than any other person in your life.
That's true. That is very true.
Your father will contribute more to your identity, your ego balance, your consciousness
Yeah.
of self, more than any
Yeah,
other
that is
person.
very, very. Ooh, that's so
Yeah.
true. Let me just jump on that. When I was having when I had my limited series talk TV show here with
Yes.
Baby Gyang, I noticed because I was interviewing mostly northern women, I noticed that the women who were the most successful, the most confident, a strong sense of ambition, their fathers were 100% behind them.
Yeah.
100%. There's one whose father used to take her. She was an activist. You go and drop her off to go and carry her placards, and he will hang around, make sure she's okay. Then when she's done, take her home. Other ones is their fathers that will support them in their businesses, that will support them in being as vocal as they could be. So
Yeah.
I noticed the trend with, and then those that were not as, I noticed that father identity, or like that consciousness of self, or that fatherly presence. So this
Yes.
is really interesting. I'm really
I'm
looking
telling
forward
you.
to the book. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
When fathers are missing, you will find that most times even those people will eventually become water.
What does that mean?
They take the shape of any container they're in.
You're right. You're right.
So they become completely, they don't have a stand of their own.
Identity. Yeah, no
Yes,
identity.
not no. So anybody they meet, they imbibe they become just an extension of somebody else.
Wow. Wow. Okay, okay. We have to wrap up. You're not gonna trick me to keep talking. I want to talk about
I'm not the
legacy
one
and
tricking you here.
I want to talk about
The
legacy
hand of
and
the Lord
impact.
is upon you.
Okay. So, you know, the whole idea of this conversation is about painting a picture, right, for everybody, the men and the people in men's life, about what could be, right? So I want you to paint that picture of what the what kind of legacy a man will leave when he has successfully connected with the king in him, and how that transformation impacts the world around him.
I'm going to answer that question using my personal hero, my father.
Oh.
My father, God rest his soul, was not just my father, he was my best friend.
Mm.
And he taught me so much on business, on leadership, on how to deal with people, and how to how am I going to put on how to react and respond to situation. Not react, respond to situations. But he would he would always tell me this. He said, "You are not here to live for yourself. You are here
Wow.
to contribute to a space on this earth.
Wow.
There is a gap existing in creation, and that is why God allowed you to come here.
Wow.
Until you know that gap you're meant to fill, you are a failure."
Hi.
And that thing was heavy in my life. So, all my life, growing up, by the time I was 15 years old, 15 years old, I will always, my mind was already geared towards, okay, what problem was I designed to solve?
Mm.
Whose pain will I remove? What was the, what was, you say, there's this statement say you
Naya
only be
said
remembered for
that.
two things: the problems you solved and the ones you caused.
Naya said wow.
Yeah. So, so I would say, okay, what problem am I designed to solve? Whose pain will I remove from this earth? What is that gap? What is that um, department of chaos that are meant to bring order to?
Wow.
And these things, yeah, and these things helped me to become the leader. And that's why you always hear me say, I've been given so much, I cannot do little.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everywhere God has given me God has given me access. In the world of science, I do as much as I can do there. In the world of
Yeah.
technology, I create as much as I can create there. In the world
Yeah.
of music, every place I gain access to, I make sure I am leaving a mark and telling a story that I am solving a problem.
Wow. Wow.
But not just even solving a problem, but creating identity in other people so they can go forth and be problem solvers.
Incredible. I love that. Creating identity in people so they can go on to become problem solvers. Wow.
Exactly. That road isn't an easy road, but it's a
Yeah.
possible road.
It's a possible road. Before, one more thing, just repeat what your dad told you about taking up space and just if you can, I don't know if you can say it the same way you said it, but just say it again.
There is a space in this world. There's a gap in this world. There's something missing, and that's why you were born. That's why God allowed you to be born. And
Wow.
until you find out that gap you were meant to fill in creation, you are a failure.
Incredible. That's just it. That is, you have just, what a way to close. And that's now you're giving me another quote that now we're going to have to come back and talk about soon. But Peter says your words are deep and pregnant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Free Conversations, the first one on YouTube. It has set the bar high, and I'm really happy about it. I'm definitely going to bring him on again. Maybe I might bring him on once a month or something so that we can just continue conversations. Please, he gave us his number. Oh, say your
It
number,
is on
please.
WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp. Did we say the wrong thing? Hey, well, did I?
Wait, let
Hold
me
on, now
do
let me check. I think
plus
I.
23481 1985 0323. It is on WhatsApp.
Okay, if it's not going through on WhatsApp, maybe can she send a text? You know how sometimes is that okay? Can she text you?
Okay. No, the thing is, okay.
Just regular
Let me.
SMS text.
Okay. Why don't I throw in another number?
Maybe also an email. Okay, hold on. I'll
Okay.
type again.
Let
Just give me a moment.
All right.
Let me just get there. Un
Okay.
momento.
No problem. So I can throw in an email
Okay,
then. No problem.
okay, hit me. Email.
SJYKANE
Mm-hmm. SJY.
KANE
Okay.
at gmail.com.
SJY. Kane.
Kane, yes, at gmail.com. All small letters.
Okay. Can you see? Do you see it? Is that correct?
Yeah, perfect. That's it.
Okay. So Naya, okay, give me the alternative number, please.
Okay, I don't even have that one by heart. So I have to pull it
Okay.
up.
Okay, can you just call that number again one more time? Let me type it in.
234 81
Hold on. 2, 3,
1985. Okay.
4. Sorry, 8
Yes.
1.
1985 0323.
Nanya, also sometimes you have to refresh your WhatsApp for it to show.
Okay. So okay. I just remember the alternate number now.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
+1
+1
251
251
800
800
1201.
1201.
Yes. So you can reach me on WhatsApp on that.
All right, fantastic. Gerald Young, thank you so much for another. I didn't think you could beat the last one, but this is heavy, man. This is heavy. And looking forward to the book. I think it needs to come out like yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
but it might have to
Yes.
be a series because there's so much oil. It will have to be like this big, right?
It's a
Be
start of
like
something at least.
yes, but
Yeah.
it's this is just an incredible, incredible conversation. Thank you so much for just opening up, giving so much of yourself, of your wisdom, of your experience and your expertise. We really, you can tell from the comments, you know,
Yes.
and sometimes, um, while would have been nice to have a whole crowd of people. For me, it's more important that it's impactful. Naya is a good friend of mine. She's a wife. She's a mother. I can imagine her taking this information about understanding that she's a prophet, a nabi, right? You know, and the what she could do. Peter the Rock has an answer. Do you want a question? Sorry, do you want to answer that while I go ahead?
Yes. I reside for now in Jos City, Nigeria.
All right, Peter, you got
Jos
that.
Plateau State.
Just Plateau State. But please, Peter, take advantage of all this information. His phone numbers are there, two of them. His email is there. Hit him up. All right. So yes, so like I said, I was saying, Gerald, you know, Naya is a mom, a wife. She
Yes.
can. This is information she can now take, and we have gentlemen. Peter is here, just people that are listening, and can now take
Yes.
this powerful information and either reconnect with the king themselves or reinforce the identity of the kings, and the queens as well,
Yes.
in their lives. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And looking forward to having another conversation with you very, very soon. Everybody, we have
Amen.
come to the end of the first episode of Free Conversations on YouTube. I'll see you again
Shalom.
here on
Greetings to
Sunday,
everyone.
7:30 p.m. All right, bye.
Shalom, Naya. Yes.